This is NFA Talk, the show that talks about guns and gun rights, keeping you up to date with what's currently going on, from the newest guns, promotions, and events, plus how we're lobbying for your rights.
All right, let's get the show on the road here. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jordan Vandenhoff, and joining me tonight, I have Sheldon Clare and Rick Iggersage with me. Hey guys, how's it going?
Really well, Jordan. You?
Great. Well, not so great. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Liberal election platform, and there's some very interesting stuff in their platform as far as firearms go.
There certainly is.
Far too much. I think it might be interesting to let the audience know about what the NFA has been doing this election. Some of them are aware that we register as a third party in the election, which means that we can engage in pre-writ and post-writ election spending and attempt to influence the election. There are criteria under Election Canada's rules for that. And we budgeted something like $400,000 to be able to participate in this election as a third party. So that means we've been putting up things like big billboards at significant sites. We've been preparing social and digital media campaigns, and also looking at mailings and other aspects to attempt to sway the election. And our attack is clearly focused on those gun-grabbing, liberal, gun-hating Trudeau supporters who are trying to take away our rights, our freedoms, and our property. So we're in the game. We're fighting hard, and we're trying to make a difference to stop Trudeau from winning. But that all depends on all of you out there getting out and voting for the party that has the best chance of beating the Liberals and looking after a free and fair firearms regime, and that is the Conservative Party of Canada. There are other parties out there that have some pretty good policies, but only the Conservatives can beat Mr. Trudeau. So a vote for anybody but the Conservative candidate you're riding is a vote for Mr. Trudeau getting back in.
And so maybe we should tell them what happens if Mr. Trudeau does become Prime Minister again. So in their platform, and I'm going to look off the side here to have a look at it, they're going to tighten the assault style weapons ban and basically make it mandatory buyback, which you're going to get pennies on the dollar for your firearms, or at your own cost, you're going to have to get it disabled so that it can never be fired again. So basically, it's a paperweight at that point. They're then going to further crack down on high capacity magazines, and it says here that magazines and require that long gun magazines capable of holding more than 5 rounds be permanently altered so that they can never hold any more than 5 rounds again. So that's going to get really interesting, especially when you get into the shotguns. You get into some of the old, let's say the SKS rifles. I don't know.
Tubular magazines.
Yeah,
anything.
Tubular magazines, anything,
Yeah.
right? What are they going to do about the ones where you put the strips in them, right? Like the SKS. So
Yeah, end blocks.
End blocks. How's that going to work, right? So. And then they're also, I think they got this from the United States, the ban and sale of the sale or transfer of magazines that hold more capacity. So I guess that's basically meaning that you can no longer buy the high capacity magazines and have them pinned to the proper amount.
Yeah,
there's no doubt this is a gateway to a handgun ban. This is just buying time for a handgun ban. Be assured that that's going to be their next step.
Absolutely.
Paul Martin originally came up with that, and it cost him the election, along with other things he was doing. But it's pretty clear that the Liberals are getting their policies from groups like the Coalition for Gun Control, which works very closely with the American gun banning groups. And they get their talking points and their words, which generally don't really apply to Canadian law all that well, but they still try to push them. You hear that he's red flag laws and so on, things which are already common in Canadian jurisprudence, but they are catchy phrases that they want to use to appeal to voters. And it's pretty clear that the Liberals really don't have a lot of familiarity with firearms or firearms ideas or policy. They just want to fight us with buzzwords and try to go after our stuff because it's a wedge issue and we're an easy target. I think that's really what it's about.
Absolutely.
And I think that And I think the way the polls are right now, they're pulling out all the stops and they're going after us. I noticed the last couple of days they've been really, really pursuing the issues. So take it as it is. But like you say, Sheldon, it's a wedge issue, and we're an easy target. And they sure have been hitting us the last couple of days.
Well, I think so. And I think you're going to see them going after NFA directly more and more as they realize that we've really put a huge effort into the third-party advertising. Our ads are out there. People are aware of them, and they're starting to resonate. And I've got to also hand it to our cartoonists for the effort that has been going on there in going after specific liberals and liberal policies. And it's hurting, and they don't like it. They're not used to having Saul Alinsky's rules thrown back at them, and these direct attacks are having an effect on them. They don't like us very much, and that's fine. We don't like them either.
And they're starting to see it in the polls, and that's why they started bringing up the firearms debate again. It's
Absolutely.
a hot topic, and it's your wedge. It's just like the French debate that was going on last night. They tried to corner Aaron O'Toole, and I think he did a wonderful job. He basically explained that his platform, and you can go look at his platform. He's going to treat firearms owners fairly. He's going to respect the hunters, the sport shooters. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the firearms community divided. It's their scare tactic, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're dead right, Jordan. And I mean, last night, Aaron O'Toole, who actually has a pretty good understanding of the firearms legislation, I've spoken to him personally about all of this stuff. He talks about the 1977 legislation and the ban then, which I, of course, am opposed to. I mean, I was affected by that, as are many other firearms owners, and we'll have to work on that eventually, too. However, he's, I think, taking a very realistic approach to the short term. He talked about that particular thing. He wouldn't be rescinding that. But the Trudeau buzzword, of course, is assault style, right? And they're trying to paint all of the things we own now as assault style so that they can throw that into the assault wording that they are so keen on sticking to us. Well, quite frankly, Aaron didn't rise to the bait. He stuck to his guns. He kept to his party policy, and I think he's actually really showing that he's the one who's going to be the best place to lead this country.
Absolutely.
We have to go with Aaron. Like Sheldon mentioned earlier, the fringe parties are not going to help us. A vote for any fringe party is a vote for the Liberals. And right now, we're in a fight of our lives, and we need to get the Conservatives elected. And there's a lot of stuff to be worked on after that. But our goal right now is to get the Conservatives elected so we can move forward with our other stuff.
Well, the fact of the matter is the pie is small, right? And particularly in some of these Western ridings where the NDP is strong, or in some cases where the Liberals are strong. What ends up happening is if there's so many votes to go on the right side of the spectrum and so many on the left, if you split up the right side of the spectrum, the left wins. And that means you get Mr. Trudeau and company back in office. So, I see guys say, well, I want to see Maverick in or PPC in. Well, I'm sorry, guys. You might as well be voting for the Liberals because that's exactly what you're doing. This is really a two-party system right now, and working on that is going to be a bigger effort than trying to run that game this election. It's not going to work. You can't just throw a party out there a few months before an election and think you're going to make a difference with it. It isn't going to happen. But what it would do is it would guarantee that you have a Liberal government in power for another 4 years. And I'm sorry, we just can't afford that in this country. We can't afford it on our guns. We can't afford it on our economy. We can't afford it on our entire social structure and social system. It will be killing the country to have 4 more years of Liberals. So you can't in any way vote for a small party out of anger, split the vote, and end up with Trudeau again, because that's what will happen.
If we get the Conservatives elected, we live to fight another day. Just remember that. If that's our goal right now, to live to fight another day.
Let's talk a little bit of a strategy here. So I understand that there's many voters out there that are wishing to go PPC or the Maverick Party. And I've looked at the PPC platform on firearms, and okay, that's great. It looks great on paper. But let's face it, they're sitting at 5% right now. I mean, they might be higher, it might be lower. When I last
It's more or
looked,
less. It's less in many across the country. It's much less.
right. So let's just say they're in the 3 to 5% range. Even if 2/3 of our membership or the firearms community moves their vote over to the PPC or to the Maverick Party, it's not going to move them that dramatically that they could even come close to being in power with a minority government. It's not going to happen. So if you want to be strategic about this, why not vote the Conservatives in? We save from a firearms aspect, we save our guns, and then let those two parties build up over the next 4 years and see where they stand then.
And I don't want anyone thinking that, if we elect the Conservatives, everything's going to be roses and wine for everyone, and it's all going to be wonderful. We have a lot of work to do with the Conservatives, right? They need to be brought along and coached and shown how to do all of this. They're not going to just automatically be nice guys. And there are parts of the Conservative Party policy that many of us probably don't find very attractive. However, do you prefer Trudeau or do you prefer Aaron O'Toole? Because that's the choices. That's the choices.
Absolutely. So I'm seeing some comments coming in about vaccine papers. We're not here talking about that. We're talking about firearms, and that's our concern. We are a firearms organization. We're worried about the firearms. We're not supporting any other policy there. We're just strictly talking about on the platform of firearms. So that's got to be full stop with us supporting that.
Yep. Yeah, we're staying in our lane on this, folks. And firearms are our lane, and everything else, whatever we all feel about it. None of us are single issue voters, but this is a single issue organization. Okay, that's our stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we covered basically that. What else do we got on the front today?
Well, I think we've been getting the voter cards have been coming out to people, and I encourage members to get out in the advance polls and vote early, so that their votes are counted. There are people who are from overseas or absentee ballots. They need to get their votes in as well. And it is very, very important that you get out and vote. If you don't exercise your franchise, we will be ruled by those who have, and you won't have as much of an ear to those who have been elected. Make sure you're out there helping put up signs. Make sure you're helping with your candidate. Make sure you're doing the boots on the ground work that it's going to make a difference in this federal election.
It's never been.
On the 21st.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's never been more critical than it is this election. Everybody needs to get out there and vote. You look at the polls, and they're shifting all the time. And as far as I'm concerned, the polls are a bit of a facade. The polls on election day are the only ones I'm concerned with. So even if you think you're sitting pretty, just still get out there and vote if you can.
I see a comment there from Dark Vapor, who just joined us. Heard today O'Toole staying with the Liberal prohibition. No, he is not staying with the Liberal prohibition from May 1st, the Order in Council or C-71. He has very clearly stated he'll rescind those. What he was saying was he was referring to the 1977 legislation, Bill C-51, which is also Liberal legislation, which we also don't like, incidentally. And he's saying, that's the basis. Well, quite frankly, if we went back to the 77 legislation in the FAC and got rid of the stupid firearms license and a whole bunch of other crap, we'd be in really good shape, and we would have a basis for working on that other stuff quite nicely. And I think most of us would be pretty happy for that. So anyway, it's really important to make sure that we focus our vote strategically, defeat Liberals by electing Conservatives. That's what's going to win this election. There isn't any other option. You want to keep your guns. That's it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, our social media has been very popular the last couple of days. We've been posting pictures up of members, board of directors. We've been out, like Sheldon said, our boots on the ground. We've been helping with signs, many volunteers getting out there. If you have time, please find your local candidate, call them up, ask them if you can support, and do what you can. Everybody has to do their part. And the same thing on September 20th. Or if you want to vote early, please do so. get out and vote. As Sheldon said, we this is make it or break it. The firearms community will not last another 4 years in a Justin Trudeau government.
Yeah, and I've been glad to see signs. I was out in Alberta this past week, and I was glad to see signs on my way back for Bob Zimmer all through the highway back from Jasper to Prince George, and signs for Todd Doherty once I got back into the city as well. And those two guys have been very, very solid about supporting firearms, as have lots of other CPC candidates, and they all deserve our support. And I know like Bazan and others, Rempel, there's so many of them that have stood up and supported firearms owners again and again. And I know they're working behind the scenes to make sure things are going to happen for us. And they're always been vocal and supportive of us. And that's what we need to get in there. That's what we need to do to make sure we win this. At Silverdale Club, gosh, it's almost 2 weeks ago now, we had a good turnout from conservative candidates, including Emily Brown, who showed up, and the others that were there.
Christina Weller and
yes.
Dean Allison.
Dean Allison. Christina Waller were there, and they came out. They specifically know that the firearms community is part of their important constituency, and they were there to support us, and they're looking for us to support them. So I really think it's important that we do that, because if we don't, we're going to be really in a very, very sorry state on the 21st of September if we're stuck with a Liberal government for 4 more years. We simply can't have that. So get your friends to vote. Don't let anybody stay home. Make sure that we can get back at this. Cool Breeze official, he said, is he going to keep his word and give us back our rights to 3 gun competitions? Well, absolutely. When I was talking with Aaron, he made a very strong commitment that he was going to do a full review of the Firearms Act, and that he did not like what the Liberals had planned for us and what they were doing, and that he was going to make sure that we had all our stuff back. The May 1st ban would be gone, as would be C-71, and we would be working on the other aspects of that terrible thing called the Firearms Act and related regulations that has been an albatross around the neck of gun owners for so many years.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I believe it was in season 1 of NFA Talk when we did the leadership race, when we talked with Derek Sloan, we talked with Aaron O'Toole and Leslyn Lewis, and Aaron came out with a pretty good platform. He's going to take a direct approach to the firearms. He's going to look at everything, and he's going to clean up all the brokenness in the Firearms Act. I mean, you have to literally sit there for 2 or 3 days reading it and then still trying to figure it out while rubbing your head and your tummy at the same time. It's just it's so wrong. They've changed it so many times. It's a mess.
Well, the language is torturous. It's hard for the average person to understand. It's confusing. It is convoluted, and it is just a classic example of overwritten legislation. And designed to engage us in civil disarmament. And that has to stop. It will not stop if we keep a Liberal in power. It will not stop if we have NDP candidates winning. It will only stop if we can elect a strong Conservative government to put a screaming halt to this. And that you, as the constituents for these people, keep your member of parliament accountable to those of us who have put them in there. That's what needs to happen. It's not just you vote once every few years and it's done. This means constant contact with your elected representative to make sure they understand your concerns and that they are working to represent you in the House of Commons. And don't forget your senators too. They're appointed, of course, but they still are very responsive to the people in their communities.
This is one time where the firearms community has to stick together as one force. The reason that they've been bringing us up the last couple of days because they know that Trudeau's leadership is in question if we stick together. We're a powerful force out there, everybody. We just have to stick together and vote Conservatives. We'll get the Conservatives in, and we'll deal with them when we get them in. But right now that's our objective, to get the Conservatives in.
Yeah, we've built a pretty solid relationship with the Conservatives over a period of many decades. We've had our ups and downs. We've got a pretty solid relationship, and we're hoping that relationship is going to be continued with the government on the 21st of September. So let's get these guys out of opposition and into government, and let's get that Liberal government out and crushed in this election. They need to pay for what they have been doing to us.
Absolutely. So maybe we swing it back and we talk a little bit about the NFA Meet and Greet. It was a great day. We
Good day.
What do you think? We had about 200 to 300 people there. I mean, I lost count. It was very busy. We were all running around talking with members and other people that came out to the event. We were on the shoot. Rick, you were on the shooting line all day, pretty much. I came over after talking with a few members, and you looked like, hey, I need a break, and you must have went through quite a few rounds, eh?
Yeah, well, I was on the line quite a bit as a range safety officer, but I got to give the shooters and everybody credit. There was no incidents on the line. Everybody brought their guns. We had a bunch of guns there that we were shooting. Everything was safe. Everything was well run. I was trying to do the RSO stuff and talk to members and non-members at the same time. Everybody wants to know what's going on. It was a good day. I think, having Sheldon there and having some of our office staff there and our other directors and stuff, I think it was a great day. It was a good day for people to come out and meet us and see that we're real people. We're not just YouTube people. We're not just social media. We're real people. And we're glad to do that anytime. If you want to talk to us, get a hold of us. We'll talk to anybody anytime.
Yeah, that was really a great time, and I got to thank both you and Jordan for helping to bring so many firearms to that event, so that people could use them and practice with them. That was a big help. I know I invited a few folks over there who benefited a great deal from being able to try some different things and practice this sport safely. It was really great seeing the MPs there. I mean, they were very enthusiastic supporters of the firearms community. They know that we're important, and I could see that the feeling was mutual. And I know that the firearms community is going to get out and support those folks in the Niagara region. And we have a really good chance of knocking off some old style Liberals there. The polls are really showing that that some of these real nasty ones that have been thorns in our side for years are starting to feel the heat, and the polls are putting pressure on them. And I'm not going to predict any outcomes or anything. That's the worst thing you can do before an election. But if people focus and we get out and vote, we can push these guys out, and that is going to be great.
It's too bad that some Liberals didn't show up and just have a look at hundreds of people coming off the street shooting guns and seeing how safe it really was. We had a bunch of prohibited handguns there, the ones that that guys were grandfathered into stuff, and maybe they should have came out and see that we're not a bunch of dangerous people out there. We're just a bunch of people enjoying our sport and having fun and doing it in a safe way.
Absolutely right. And there's an awful lot about our gun laws that have got problems, and we're going to have to work on that in a big way, far beyond simple policy statements in party documents. We're going to need to be working very closely to make sure that we get firearms laws that work for us. Guys, right now, it's all about civil disarmament. It's all about a gun grab. It's all about making things bad for Canadian firearms owners, and it needs to end.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, the day went awesome. And it kind of debunks a few of the anti myths where, it's a whole bunch of middle-aged, heavier weight, less hair guys running around and toting these guns. Right. We had every age there. We had young ones on the firing line. We had females on the firing line shooting and just having a great time. Like it was great to see everybody that came out, and it really shows that, hey, we're not just a whole bunch of crazy nuts on the firing line and going crazy with our guns and banging them off and shooting them in the air, right? Like
the other fun thing was the Don Lindsay and the Canadian Firearms Network, and they showing up with some black powder cannon to shoot. That added a bit, and of course, Sam was there, Sam Messina, with his Prohib collection. That was great to see that stuff out there. People really like that.
It was great. It was great too. The NFA had a bit of the side of the range set up, and a lot of young people showed up. And Jordan and Sheldon were instructing some young people that never fired guns before, and they gave them some safe instruction. And everybody left with a smile on their face. I really like to see that. We're 100% promoting our sport, and the people were coming out there, and we're taking care of as many as we could. Giving them some instructions, supplying them with some ammo, and just letting them shoot some guns and have some fun and leave with a big smile on their face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we pretty much covered everything. Other than for the first time, we actually did on location NFA talk, and we had not all of our directors, but all the directors that were present for the meet and greet. We were in Hamilton, and we did our first actual on location one. I know and I apologize to the audience. There was a couple comments that the sound was a little low. Where first time we figured it out. Next time it's going to be a lot better, but it was great to actually have everybody in person for once, because we all live all across the country here, so it's very rare that we get to see each other in person. And to have the other directors and Sheldon fly in, and some of our office staff was great to meet in person. We got to chat, we got to do the NFA talk live on location, and then we had our meet and greet, and we got to meet up with our membership, and that's great.
Yeah, regional coordinator out there, Tom, did a great job too. Just a little shout out to Tom and his work, and the other members that came out, Carl Hospitales and so on. There were several others who helped provide instruction on the firing line, and also helped to set it up and take it down at the end of the day. That's the important stuff that has to happen when the magic people show up and everything's all in place. It doesn't just happen. There's a little bit of prep that goes on. And I really want to thank Joan Miller and the staff of Silverdale for all the support they gave us to put that event on. Great.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Joan.
And Lance Shooting Supplies, which they also had a booth set up there, and they were supplying people with ammo, and they were a big help with our event as well. So Lance Shooting Supplies, they do ship across Canada. LanceShootingSupplies.com. Please check them out.
Yep, they were great.
Yeah, I just looking at the comments down there, and Cool Breeze Official. Hopefully we can, where did I read? Or PPC needs to join the Conservatives and work together for the good of Canada and our sport. You know what, guys? That would be the perfect storm.
Well, and I think part of the problem is, though, that the PPC split from the Conservatives. When you have a split, you have one thing and it splits, and there are reasons for those splits, right? There are reasons. There are policy statements out there. There are differences, and that's the reason you have that. But at this point in time, we need to be united in defeating Liberals, and that is not going to happen by voting for these smaller but enthusiastic parties that are out there. Those are not going to defeat Liberals. In fact, they will guarantee a Liberal win.
Absolutely. So I think we're going to cut it here. We are going to be back probably by the end of next week, I imagine. We'll have some more updates. Hopefully there's some more media going on that we can talk about, and we'll go from there. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Sheldon, thanks for coming. Rick, thank you as well. And we'll see everybody soon.
All the best.
All the best.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NFA Talk. Like and follow the NFA on social media and sign up to become a member.